Hey movie buffs, we are 2 months into a new year. 2023 looks like a great and exciting year for movies, which is why I am doing my list of my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2023. There are so many promising looking movies coming out this year that I can't wait to see. From animation, superhero movies, action franchises I'm a fan of, or upcoming movies by directors that I admire. And I'm excited to hear what films you're excited to see this year, either a top 10, top 5, or your number 1 pick. Let me know in the comments below. Now, before we get into the top 10 list, I have 8 honorable mentions in alphabetical order, and here they are. First honorable mention is a trailer I saw in front of Avatar: The Way of Water, and that is 65, starring Adam Driver. This looks like a cool sci-fi action movie, and I think Adam Driver is a terrific actor. And let's hope this is a better blockbuster film for Adam Driver than The Rise of Skywalker, which I didn't like. And something that gets me interested is that the directors of this movie, they wrote both A Quiet Place 1 and 2. I love both Quiet Place movies. Sam Raimi is also a producer of this movie. I'm hoping this is a fun sci-fi action movie that I'm looking forward to seeing. Next is a film that a lot of people would probably have in their top 10 but didn't quite make my top 10. There are personally other movies I'm looking forward to more, and that is Barbie. The teaser trailer for this was interesting, and I did enjoy the 2001 A Space Odyssey homage, and it was a brief teaser trailer, just the characters, sets, and costumes, which looks fantastic. And Greta Gerwig has proven to be a talented director. I liked Lady Bird, I really liked Little Women 2019, plus Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are playing both Barbie and Ken. Perfect casting. So I'm hoping this Barbie movie is more than just a product placement cash grab movie. Next is Pixar's new movie, Elemental. I'm always excited to see a new concept from Pixar. This looks interesting. And it was a promising teaser trailer, just seeing the setting, the characters, a bit of the story. I'm hoping this is another good film from Pixar that I'm looking forward to. Next is a sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife. I enjoyed Afterlife. I think that's the second best Ghostbusters movie since the original. Now, Jason Reitman is not directing the sequel, and instead we have Gil Cannon, who directed Monster House, an animated film I enjoyed from 2006. Next honorable mention was my top 10 but got knocked down on the list recently, and that is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I thought Shazam was great, was my favorite DCEU movie until The Suicide Squad came out. I love Zachary Levi in the role of Shazam. I thought it was hilarious, heartfelt, and entertaining throughout. So I'm hoping the sequel is just as much of a blast as the first film. Next honorable mention, which I'm surprisingly warming up to and getting more excited for, and that is the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Mario is a huge part of my childhood, which is why I was skeptical when I heard Illumination was involved. Chris Pratt was cast as Mario. What? But the 2 trailers we got, this could be a lot of fun. Animation-wise, it looks gorgeous, colorful, and stunning. Aside from Chris Pratt, who I'm definitely nervous about as Mario, I do like the voice cast. Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. I really like Charlie Day as Luigi. And who I think is going to steal the show, Jack Black as Bowser. Perfect casting. I love that choice. So I hope this is a good video game movie like the 2 Sonic the Hedgehog movies. Second and last honorable mention is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. First time I actually have a Transformers movie in my most anticipated list. I really enjoyed Bumblebee. That was easily the best Transformers movie. So I'm excited that we're getting another new director, Stephen Caple Jr., who directed Creed 2, which I thought was great. We do have a lot of talent in this new Transformers movie. Not just Stephen Caple Jr., but we have Anthony Ramos, who I thought was great as Usnavi from In the Heights. Dominique Fishback, who was great in Judas and the Black Messiah. The action looks entertaining. I'm excited to see the Maximals in this movie. Even if it won't top Bumblebee, if it can keep the Transformers franchise on the right track, I'll be satisfied. And last honorable mention is Wish, a new Disney animated film coming out this November that has my interest. And with those honorable mentions out of the way, let's get into the top 10 list. Coming in at number 10 is the Willy Wonka prequel known as Wonka. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is both one of my favorite films and musicals of all time, with unforgettable songs and the late great Gene Wilder's iconic performance as Willy Wonka. Although I do think it is inferior to the original, I do get some enjoyment from the 2005 remake from Tim Burton. Although I am not a fan of Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka, as I found him to be a bit too over-the-top, childish, and immature in my opinion. I was a little skeptical when I heard a prequel on Willy Wonka was announced because I did prefer the mysteriousness of Willy Wonka in the original that made him more interesting to me. But when Timothée Chalamet was cast as a young Willy Wonka, I was really excited because I think Chalamet has proven to be a hugely talented and fantastic young actor. In films such as Call Me By Your Name, Little Women, Dune, he's been doing consistently great work and I've been loving him in everything I've seen from him. Based on the set photos of him in a costume, I think it looks great and I'm excited to see how he'll make this version of Wonka his own. Not only do you have Timothée Chalamet as the lead playing Willy Wonka, but you have Sally Hawkins, Olivia Colman, Keegan-Michael Key, and Mr. Bean or Zazu in The Lion King himself, Rowan Atkinson, is in this movie. I love this cast. And the director of this prequel, who is Paul King, he directed both Paddington 1 and 2. I love both movies. I think those are two of the most heartwarming and feel-good family films of the last decade. Based on the talent involved, this does give me faith that they have a good idea for a prequel. I'm excited to see a trailer whenever it comes out and looking forward to seeing how this prequel is executed. And hopefully it'll be a worthy prequel when it hits theaters this December. Coming in at number 9, we are so close to the release date of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I love the first Ant-Man, which I found to be funny, creative, and entertaining, and that would be close to my top 10 favorite MCU movies. And Ant-Man and the Wasp, I found entertaining. I did find that to be a filler movie of what was Ant-Man doing during the events of Infinity War, and it wasn't one of the more memorable MCU movies in my opinion. I've always loved Paul Rudd as Scott Lang / Ant-Man. I think he's perfect casting for the role. He's hilarious as usual, likable, and sympathetic. I was looking forward to seeing where they would take Scott and the rest of the characters post-Endgame, and based on the two trailers, I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far. I'm excited to see the expansion of the quantum realm, and this is the first film in Phase 5 of the MCU, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this film will set up the future for the MCU and what's to come. Visually, it looks fantastic, and I love the look of the quantum realm. It looks gorgeous. What I loved in the second trailer is seeing Scott's motivation for trusting Kang, to give him more time to make up for all the 5 years he was stuck in the quantum realm during the snap, and wanting that more time to spend with his daughter Cassie. I find that to be very interesting, and I think it has potential to provide interesting conflict in the film between Scott and Kang. And speaking of which, one of the things I am most excited to see in this movie is Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror, who is our next big MCU villain after Thanos. Just from his performance in the season 1 finale of Loki as He Who Remains, and watching his performance in the trailers, I assume it's a variant of Kang. I think Majors is going to dominate this role. With his menace, suspicion, and formidable strength, it looks like it could be a lot of fun. The cast looks top-notch, visually it looks amazing, and it seems to have higher stakes than the first two Ant-Man films. Quantumania comes out next week, and I can't wait to see it. I'm excited to see how this will set up the future for the MCU and the multiverse saga, and starts Phase 5 strong. Coming in at the number 8 spot is Creed 3. The first two Creed films have proven to be fantastic, emotional, and engaging spin-offs and continuation in the Rocky franchise. What gets me very excited is not only Michael B. Jordan reprising his role as Adonis Creed, to which he's been doing a fantastic job in the role, but this is also his directorial debut. I can't wait. Interesting looking back to the Rocky movies, how Stallone directed most of the Rocky sequels except 5, and now this is the second time the lead star gets the opportunity to direct a film in the Rocky franchise. And the trailer looks fantastic with an interesting story. Adonis reuniting with a childhood friend played by Jonathan Majors, who just got out of prison and is also a former boxing prodigy, focusing on the drama, history, and tension between the two of them leading up to a big boxing match. I love the story they're focusing on here being a great opportunity for an engaging conflict, and Michael B. Jordan does have a lot of confidence behind the camera, which is great to see. I'm looking forward to seeing how he handles the story and his filmmaking. Both Creed movies have done an excellent job of balancing strong character work, focusing on character development to get us emotionally attached to get us anticipated for the boxing scenes. And I hope Creed 3 is no exception. And 2023 looks like the year of Jonathan Majors with Quantumania and this. He looks like a fantastic addition to the Creed franchise and looks like a force to be reckoned with. And this is also the first film in the Rocky franchise not to have Sylvester Stallone reprise his role as Rocky Balboa, but given where his story ended in Creed 2, I'm okay with that. Not really worried about Rocky's past and present anymore, instead focusing on Adonis letting his story continue and his legacy, allowing the story to focus on Adonis confronting his past and his own legacy. I'm super excited for Creed 3 this March, and I hope it's as great as the first two. Coming in at number 7 is John Wick Chapter 4. Over the years, John Wick has become one of the most awesome, thrilling, and entertaining action franchises we have right now. From Chad Stahelski's directing, Keanu Reeves excelling, thrilling action scenes, and riveting stories. The story in Chapter 4 is John Wick trying to earn his freedom and defeat the High Table, and this looks like an awesome addition to the John Wick franchise. From the gorgeous looking cinematography, terrific action scenes, and we have exciting new additions to the cast with Bill Skarsgård and Donnie Yen. I'm hoping this maintains the strengths of the previous films and deliver us another kick ass action film in the franchise. Although one question I do have, in Chapter 2, John Wick killed someone with a pencil, which, oh my god. And in Chapter 3, he killed someone with a book. A freaking book. And one question I do have, what is John Wick going to use as a weapon to kill someone? I'm just curious to see what he's going to use to kill someone in Chapter 4. And what I can think of, maybe a rubber band and 2 paper clips. Let's see what he can do with that to kill someone. But nevertheless, I am super excited for John Wick 4 this March. So freaking excited. Coming in at the number 6 spot is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Now, the first 3 Indiana Jones movies are some of the greatest action-adventure movies of all time, and Harrison Ford is irreplaceable as Indy. No matter how old Harrison Ford may be, you just can't replace him, no matter how hard you try. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, however, while I don't hate that movie, it's very disappointing when compared to the first 3 movies. And I was a little skeptical when I heard Indiana Jones 5 was happening, due to the disappointment of the 4th film, Harrison Ford's age, and Steven Spielberg is not behind the camera this time. So this is the first Indiana Jones film not to be directed by Spielberg. And if you're gonna get a new director to replace Spielberg, you need a damn good director, because those are big shoes to fill. And luckily, when I heard James Mangold was directing an Indiana Jones movies, I got even more excited. Especially after he directed one of my favorite superhero movies of all time with Logan, and one of my favorite superhero films of the 2010s decade. I absolutely adored Logan, one of my top 5 favorite films of 2017. And for other great movies he's directed, Walk the Line and Ford v Ferrari, which are 2 movies that I recommend. And the teaser trailer that came out in December, personally, I thought it was fantastic, maintaining the fun and classic adventurous vibe of the first 3, and the theme and the music in the middle of the trailer gave me goosebumps. I'm hoping James Mangold both delivers the thrilling adventure of the franchise, but do his own thing at the same time and not try to copy Spielberg. And Harrison Ford seems like he never left this role despite his age. He still got it all these years. The great new additions to the cast, we have Mads Mikkelsen playing the villain, and Antonio Banderas is in this movie, Boyd Holbrook, who played the villain in Logan. Another thing I'm hoping for in the first 3, I would use practical sets, effects, and locations. And I hope Dial of Destiny can use some CGI as long as it's not distracting. And looking back to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull CGI, it looks pretty dated. How is it that a movie that came out in 2008 have effects aged this poorly? Just from the gophers and Shia LaBeouf swinging on those vines, oh god. And I also want to mention, briefly in the trailer, the de-aging effects on Harrison Ford to make him look younger actually look amazing, surprisingly. Based on James Mangold behind the camera, the exciting teaser trailer, let's hope Indiana Jones 5 doesn't disappoint, and hopefully it could actually justify its existence when it hit theaters this June. Number 5 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I absolutely love both Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and they are both in my top 10 favorite MCU movies. Guardians of the Galaxy was a fantastic start for these characters, and honestly, I think Volume 2 is a great and underrated MCU movie, and I absolutely love what James Gunn has brought to the table with these characters ever since the first movie, and I find them entertaining, hilarious, and emotional. And the thing about these Guardians movies is when they'll make you laugh, they will. They're hilarious, but when they'll tug at the heartstrings, they will. And I also want to mention, I did enjoy the holiday special on Disney Plus. I really liked it. And the teaser trailer was terrific. And I get the feeling this is going to be a great finale for these characters. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Rocket's backstory to see why he is the way he is. We got hints of that in the first film, but I'm excited to see more of that. I have a feeling it's going to be very tragic, and I think Rocket is going to be the emotional core of Volume 3. And something I heard that gets me afraid, I have a feeling Rocket is going to die in Volume 3. Just, no, he's my favorite Guardian. I do not want to see Rocket die, but I have to. Just, no, I am not ready to see Rocket die. Just, no. The cast seems like they're going to be on the top of their game for this conclusion, and I'm excited to see Will Poulter joining the cast as Adam Warlock, who was teased in Volume 2. The visuals look amazing, and I love James Gunn's music choices for these Guardians movies, and both soundtracks of Volume 1 and 2, I listen to them quite frequently. This is easily my most anticipated MCU movie this year. I'm excited for Quantumania, The Marvels. Not sure about that at the moment, but we'll see. But if you could give me one MCU movie to see this year, give me Volume 3 right now. So I'm hoping Volume 3 is a fantastic swan song for these characters. Coming in at number 4, we have Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Just like John Wick, Mission Impossible is one of the most consistently entertaining action franchises we have currently. First film was a good start. Second film was, definitely the weakest Mission Impossible film. Third film picked things up. 4 skyrocketed this franchise into awesomeness. 5 was great, and Mission Impossible Fallout was absolutely incredible. And Fallout is my second favorite action movie of the last decade behind Mad Max Fury Road. Christopher McQuarrie is back directing after Rogue Nation and Fallout. I think he's done an excellent job with this franchise, and I can't wait to see what he does with Dead Reckoning Part 1 and 2. And the teaser trailer we got a year early that I saw in front of Top Gun Maverick was awesome. What worked in the previous Mission Impossible movies looks like it's intact here. From the phenomenal stunt work, jaw-dropping action scenes, and a potentially riveting story, it seems to be more darker and more serious than Fallout, which makes me curious to see how this is going to be a back-to-back sequel with Part 2 coming out next year. And if you were to ask me who I think is the best action star we have working today, I would tell you it's Tom Cruise. He has been giving everything to his craft. From doing his own stunts, energy, charisma, and commitment to action, and wanting the audience to have a good time and admire the spectacle. And also to mention, the last part in the teaser trailer with him driving the motorcycle off a cliff. This man is 60 years old and he's still doing his own stunts. That's just amazing. And not only do you have Tom Cruise back as Ethan Hunt, but both returning cast members with Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, Rebecca Ferguson, and new cast members such as Peggy Carter herself, Haley Atwell, and Poe Clementine, which I believe how you pronounce her name. She played Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy movies. This is definitely my most anticipated action movie this year, and let's hope it delivers another exhilarating film in the Mission Impossible franchise. Coming in at number 3 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I adored Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That was one of the most creative and innovative animated films I've ever seen, and changed that to my pick for my favorite film of 2018, topping Mission Impossible Fallout. And the 2 trailers we have gone look absolutely amazing. From this being an interesting continuation and expansion with multiple new Spider-Man and allies, the animation looks superb and outstanding and clearly taking it to the next level. Since the predecessor had a unique and groundbreaking animation style to it, with the animation in the last trailer, I could probably see why the sequel was delayed from last year to 2023. I assume the animators needed extra time to work on the animation. Not only do you have Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, Peter B. Parker back, and new additions to the cast, we have Issa Rae as Spider-Woman and Oscar Isaac as Spider-Man 2099. Very excited to see both of them here, and I'm happy that Oscar Isaac is getting better Marvel roles. After X-Men Apocalypse, which I thought he was fine in, but I felt like they just wasted a pretty great actor into a generic villain role. And I thought Moon Knight was awesome, and I thought Oscar Isaac gave a terrific and versatile performance in that series. And that and Loki are interchangeable for my favorite Disney Plus series. And please, I hope we get Moon Knight Season 2. And also, knowing that the creators of Avatar The Last Airbender are behind Across the Spider-Verse and Kenny Powers, who was involved in Soul, I can't freaking wait for this. The trailers have given me faith that this is going to be a fantastic sequel that won't disappoint, and another film on this list that's going to be a back-to-back sequel with Beyond the Spider-Verse coming out next year. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this film will set up that sequel next year. This is definitely my most anticipated animated and superhero movie this year. Just give me the sequel ASAP. Coming in at number 2 is Christopher Nolan's new movie, Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. He's certainly one of the most bold, creative, and imaginative filmmakers we have working today. Any new project he's attached to always has my excitement no matter what. Just tell me Christopher Nolan has a new movie coming out. You got me. I'm in. And I was beyond excited when I heard he's doing another World War II movie after Dunkirk, my favorite film of 2017. And it's a very different World War II movie than Dunkirk. Dunkirk was a survival war movie, while this is a biopic on a real-life person, and Cillian Murphy has always been a frequent collaborator with Christopher Nolan in supporting roles in movies such as Scarecrow and Batman Begins, Inception, and Dunkirk. But this time, he's the lead, and I always found Cillian Murphy to be a great and underrated actor in my opinion, so I'm super excited that he gets to be the lead in a Christopher Nolan movie this time, and based on the trailer, I think he's going to give a fantastic performance. And I definitely feel like Christopher Nolan is definitely going to utilize utilize his strengths as an actor. And not only Murphy at the lead, but you have a stacked supporting cast. Cillian Murphy is reuniting with his Quiet Place 2 co-star Emily Blunt, her first Christopher Nolan film. Always a great actress, can't wait to see her in a Nolan movie. This is the second time that Matt Damon has worked with Christopher Nolan, after a cameo in Inception, but this is a bigger role. Florence Pugh is in Oppenheimer, proven to be an amazing actress. And Robert Downey Jr. has a supporting role. And I think it's terrific that he gets to be in a Christopher Nolan movie. As much as I love Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, he's perfect for the role. But I like seeing Robert Downey Jr. in other movies that aren't Iron Man. In movies such as Zodiac or Tropic Thunder, I think he's great in both films. And honestly, Downey Jr. definitely needs this after that Dolittle movie that came out in 2020. Oh god, that Dolittle movie. Just watching that movie and his performance in it was so bizarre. I just thought, this was Downey Jr.'s first big movie after Endgame? Really? Oh god, that freaking Dolittle movie. What a shit movie that was. It was awful. And you have Rami Malek, Benny Safdie, Kenneth Branagh, just so many names are in this movie. And the trailer of this movie looks absolutely incredible, from the beautiful cinematography, the music. And after Tenet, Ludwig Göransson is going to compose the musical score. I love this score in Tenet that was riveting and memorable. And this does seem to be a very interesting and different film for Christopher Nolan, which is very interesting to see. And one of the things I love about Christopher Nolan is his commitment to practical effects rather than using CGI. And there is a rumor that he did a nuclear weapon detonation scene without any usage of CGI. That's just jaw-dropping, and I can't wait to see that sequence in the movie. Just the things Nolan has done and his commitment, just wow. And if there's any film on this list I could see being a potential Oscar contender, it could be this one. And I'm curious to see if this movie will get the same amount of love at the Oscars that Dunkirk did. And interesting to know that this comes out on the same weekend as Barbie, which does look promising. But that weekend, I'm easily seeing Oppenheimer first. Anything Nolan is doing has me at that movie theater day one. Super excited for Oppenheimer, and let's see if Christopher Nolan will make another fantastic film in his filmography. And finally, at number 1, my most anticipated movie of 2023 is Dune Part 2. I adored Dune Part 1. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get around to doing my favorite movies of 2021 video due to time and a busy schedule, but little spoiler alert, Dune was my favorite film of 2021. That is one of the best sci-fi movies I have seen in years, one of the most epic, immersive, and stunning sci-fi blockbusters I have ever seen. And I was very enthusiastic when I heard Part 2 was greenlit days after Part 1 has came out. Yes! And I can't wait to see the story continue. Despite some criticisms I heard that Part 1 felt a bit incomplete, I can understand where they're coming from, but in Part 1, I felt like they found a good stopping point. That's a very interesting ending to continue the story and get us immersed in the world of Arrakis, to which I can't wait for more to come. And the cast from both old and new, absolutely fantastic. And for the returning players, Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, who I assume will have more screen time and play a bigger role than in Part 1, Javier Bardem, Dave Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård. And as for the new cast members, we have Christopher Walken playing the Emperor, great choice. And second film on the list, we have Florence Pugh, who is playing Princess Irulan. Florence Pugh has been on fire. I loved her in Little Women. I enjoy her in the MCU from both Black Widow and Hawkeye as Yelena, and great as Goldilocks in Puss in Boots 2. So the fact that she's working with both Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve in the same year, she's on fire. And Austin Butler, who is playing Fade Rotha, although I didn't love Elvis as a movie, I loved his performance, and I felt like that really carried the movie. And he's nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor. I think that's deserving. And I heard from Dave Bautista, who said he found Austin Butler's performance in Dune Part 2 terrifying. That gets me even more excited to see his performance. And I don't think Denis Villeneuve is going to disappoint with Dune Part 2. And he has proven, in my eyes, to be the best filmmaker working today, consistently making excellent movies ever since Prisoners. And upon thinking about it, I think Prisoners might be my new favorite film of 2013. And then after Prisoners, Enemy, Sicario, Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, all great movies. Gorgeously shot but enticing slow burn movies. And showing his level of craft from low budget films to big budget films shows that this man knows what he's doing. And the visuals are likely going to be as spectacular as its predecessor. And Hans Zimmer returning to compose the musical score. I loved his score in Part 1 and excited to hear more of his score in Part 2. And hearing the story is more amped up and more action-packed than the first film gets me even more excited for Dune Part 2. And this is another film I could see being a potential Oscar contender, since Part 1 received multiple Oscar nominations, winning 6 in total. Even though it didn't win Best Picture, it was my pick to win. And that reminds me, Denis Villeneuve was snubbed for Best Director for Dune. How could that movie get so many Oscar nominations and Denis got recognition in producing and screenplay but not Best Director? Seriously? That to me is the biggest Best Director snub since Christopher Nolan for Inception. I'll go that far. I am beyond enthusiastic for this continuation. Give me a trailer ASAP and bring on this sequel this November. And that is my list for my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2023, and so many great looking movies coming out this year that I can't wait to see. And again, I'm excited to hear your picks in the comments below, either a top 10, top 5, or your number 1 pick. Let me know in the comments below. Did you enjoy this top 10 list? If yes, please hit that like and subscribe button if you're new here, and don't forget that notification bell for my next upload in the future. It really means a lot. And until the next video, I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.